Business as usual today, guys, interviewing spearfishing experts, authorities, and characters from around the world. Today, it's Paul Rodriguez from Hot Rod Spearguns. He's an absolute legend, super nice guy, speargun builder. We geek out on a lot of gear, and specifically gear for blue water hunting, but we also talk about power bands, or power bands if you're American, and or rubber if you're Australian or Kiwi. But we get geeky on it, and I had an absolute blast. He's a really cool guy, really nice guy as well. So, but if you don't know me, my name's Isaac, aka Shrek. I'm the host of this sucker, and I love chatting spearfishing, meeting cool people from around the world, and I'm hoping to get out and travel a bit more when this COVID bubble shuts down. I've got 2 trips already booked. I've got one in July doing the East Coast, heading down to Sydney. I'm going to do a live interview in the Adreno Sydney store there. Hopefully chat to an absolute veteran and legend who does not exist on social media. One of those guys that you wouldn't know about, but you really want to know. And I've also got an October trip planned over into Western Australia, hoping to make these things happen. Here's hoping that we're past this awful mess of the last couple of years. But on to bigger and better things. So I've got a couple of, actually I've only got 2 shout outs today. The Blue Water World Cup, palapisventana.com. You need to find out about these guys. I interviewed them on the show a couple of weeks back. Super cool guys out of Mexico, and they've got 2 fantastic venues. This competition is pretty much like your dream. Boats are organised for you, guides are organised for you. You get there, you pay your entry fee, you hang out with super cool Spearos, you chase blue water species and some reefies as well, and you have an absolute blast doing it. Check it out, July 10th to 14th. That's this year. It's on every year though. palapisventana.com. You've got to find out about it. Super cool dudes in a super cool location. Also wanted to say thanks to all the people that have started to leave reviews for the Noob Spearo podcast on Spotify. You can't write a review, but you can leave a star rating. So thanks to the 20 odd people that have already gone and done that. Much appreciated. Another way to leave a written review, and I'd really appreciate it, is if you went to podchaser.com/Noob Spearo. Check it out. Or if you just go to podchaser.com, search for Noob Spearo, and 6 people have left some absolutely awesome reviews there about the podcast. I really love them. So fantastic. Thanks for supporting the podcast. Hey, let's get into Hot Rod Spearguns, Paul Rodriguez. Get geeky. Here we go. I can't wait to get into today's episode, brought to you with proud partner adreno.com.au. The Noob Spearo podcast has been partnering with adreno.com.au for more than 100 episodes, and these guys are awesome. They have huge spearfishing mega stores all over the country. You can shop online or in store. Use the code NoobSpearo whenever you spend more than $200, and you will automatically save $20. That's right, use the code NoobSpearo online or in store when you spend more than $200 and save $20. I love these guys. I remember the first time I brought a speargun at adreno.com.au down at the Wollongabba store, and Adreno have been a huge part of the excitement that I have about spearfishing. Check them out at adreno.com.au. Use the code NoobSpearo to save. Neptonics was founded in 1996, making trigger mechs in a barn in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Solid gear that works was their founding principle, and it still rings true today in every pull of a Neptonics trigger, in every snap of a Neptonics band, and in every whiz of a Neptonics speargun reel, singing with the power of another big fish. Got a great deal. You can use the code NOOB10 to save 10% off anything and everything at neptonics.com. It's solid gear that works, equipment you can rely on. Save 10% off any order at neptonics.com when you use the code NOOB10. So g'day Noobers. I've probably got one of the nicest guys in spearfishing in the world of timber speargun making on the planet. It's Paul Rodriguez from Hot Rod. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, thanks, man. Glad to be here.
As we sort of touched on before the show started, I've listened to your episodes on Spear Factor with Brett, and I hear, like you're obviously a supporter of his show, and I just commend you for getting involved with him. I really like what he's doing over there, and if people are looking for another good spearfishing podcast, definitely encourage them to come and listen to your interview over there as well.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, that's the nicest thing I've heard is someone on their own podcast beefing up somebody else's. But hey, man, Brett's a good dude. I think you've talked to him a fair bit, and it has a great time doing his podcast. I'm really looking forward to doing this with you guys tonight. So thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, cool. It was on there that I heard about your hybrid travel spear gun, and this has been a topic of conversation. Like, I really feel like you've solved a unique problem in the world of spearfishing, which is traveling with a bulky, large spear gun that's capable of taking down larger fish, which is what a lot of guys want to do and girls want to do when they travel. It's very hard to get on airlines. I mean, these days, anytime you mention the word gun, it's hard work at best. You've invented a spear gun that pretty much just, as far as I'm aware, sort of goes into two pieces, and then you're able to travel with that in a relatively small piece, like a bag or travel case. Is that right?
Yeah, man. So it breaks down smaller than your fin, right? I mean, you're gonna have to. You can break down your fins, right, if you have a certain type of fin. Generally, what I was finding is about 37 inches for a blade. So the goal was, all right, let's get the gun smaller than 37 inches, or let's get it smaller than 3 feet long, because 3 feet is kind of a standard for at least bags. You find a lot of bags 3 feet long, right? So the other criteria was joint's got to be bomber. I mean, the joint has to be at least a super bomber, and that was the hardest part, obviously. And what's better than in the saltwater than carbon fiber? I mean, it just handles like pro. So getting that joint down, as well as getting the gun to divide right in the middle, right? Or as close to middle as you can get to maximize that travel space. And then the third problem really was the shaft, getting the travel shafts. And to be honest, the guy who builds them for me still hates building them, but he hates building them. And I guess they gotta do a whole jig on their lathe or whatever they're using to cut it down. Getting those shark fins lined up perfectly and all that with the flopper with the actual threads. Sounds like it's a big pain.
I didn't even think about that. But now that you say it, I'm like, oh wow, no wonder. 100%. I'm seeing what you're saying.
Yeah, man. So, and there's 100 other small things you got to think about, like with the travel gun, but those are the biggest problems. And I started out with the hybrids, right? It took me about 5 years to really get to where I am today. And then we're doing fun things now. Hey, if a guy wants to order a couple tubes, he's got a few guns in his arsenal now, right? I think that was the last video I put up on my Instagram. And then, I started going over to the all wood travels. There's other companies that make all wood travels, and they've been out for a few years, but man, I kept getting that gun, there's bending at the joint or this and that. And I was like, we got to come up with something better, man. We got the materials to do it. I don't think it's that impossible. So again, took 2 years to get the wood, because the wood one, it's a harder build in my opinion than the hybrid. But it took another couple of years to get that down after having the joint down with the hybrid. So kind of a long road, but in the end of the day, the hybrids get down to 32 inches for a 130, which is the biggest size I'm building right now. And the limiting factor is shafts, actually.
Okay. All right. So I want to touch on this. My woodworking skills and my technical knowledge of spear guns is, I'm going to be honest with you, it's pretty poor, man. I'm really curious, though, how you managed to do the joint. Have you gone with like some sort of mortise and tenon type structure? I have not seen one of your spear guns, so I have no ability to sort of visualize this, if you like.
Without going too far into it, I haven't patented anything, man. And how the spear gun business is, and I don't knock anybody for copying a good idea. If somebody hasn't patented it, it's like, all right, you didn't patent it, bro. But I do protect my ideas in as best as I can. So basically, the way it's built is there's no as part of the joint goes, it's all carbon fiber. And what I've done is I've created basically a tube going into another tube at a very, very low tolerance, as in the gap is almost non-existent. And that's what allows the joint and it still slides, right? Because it's carbon fiber. It's sanded down to like a 400 on the tube. And then there was also a length issue there, right? Like the joints I was seeing were only a couple inches long. I was like, it's got to be stronger than that. So minimum 6 inches of joint there.
Nice.
And basically it's one carbon fiber tube going into another. Now getting that one outer layer of tube into the gun is the hard part. And it just required, that's what took me a long time to develop, man. I mean, at first I was doing it with just a wood outer section and the wood was swelling. So that's going to happen no matter what. The wood's just going to swell.
One thing I try to communicate is my passion for niche creators and innovators, because the R&D, when you're doing it by yourself, like obviously you can learn and adapt much faster than a larger, more bureaucratic company. You're just a one-man band often, and it's just experimentation, the process of iteration. There's a long, long period between where you start and the finished product that people have in their hands. People don't factor that into the price they pay for things, and they don't factor that into the decisions they make. The other thing is protecting your intellectual property, which we were talking about before, like patenting something.
Yeah,
you can pay for a patent, and they are written in such an obscure way that people can take your technology and your ideas anyway. And then even if someone does steal your idea outright, you have to enforce your patent, which may or may not be enforceable in their jurisdiction, and you pay a lot of fees for that. As a niche innovator or creator, like it's a very long and drawn out process. I'm not trying to bore people with the details of creating something, but I have tried to do stuff in the past, and I appreciate the work that goes into it. So protecting your IP then, how do you do it?
I think it's kind of an honor system at this point, man. When I do a video on Instagram, I'm not going inside and showing every intricate feature of the joint. Obviously, I sell to a customer who might have a buddy who builds spear guns, who looks at my gun,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, it's kind of an honor system. And if somebody copies my idea, this is kind of the way I look at it. If somebody copies my idea, I don't have a patent on it, it's hard to enforce it. I had a good idea. You know,
yeah.
As unfortunate as that is kind of, maybe it's kind of giving up. It's the way it is for a small one-man shop. And I hope people, hey, I got this inspiration from Hot Rod, or even if they don't do that, like I see that out there. I'm like, oh dude, that looks a lot like what I did. Maybe he got the inspiration from me. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he just came up with it on his own, and I appreciate it, So kind of the way I look at it.
Cool. Okay, cool. A pleasant diversion there. Like I'm traveling to Vanuatu, right? I want to shoot one of Jamie Rive's massive dogtooth tuna that what you and I were talking about before we jumped on. Like I recently had him on the show, and you watched some of his videos. I traveled to Vanuatu. I want to hang out with him. I got my travel spear gun. I pull it out. I've got the Mori shaft and it's threaded shaft. I thread that together. I slide the muzzle end of the spear gun into the butt. And then how is it fastened? Is it bolts? What's the system of joining?
So on the bottom of the gun, it's one set screw now. The joint itself, with that low tolerance I was talking about, the joint itself does such a good job. All that set screw really is doing is keeping that tube from launching out when the spear goes. The joint structurally is handling all of that pressure.
Okay, cool.
All the back pressure is already handled by other components of the joint. Yeah. So.
Okay. And does that change the way the shaft travels from the mechanism?
I haven't noticed any issues with the shot as far as like shot placement goes, or the way the shaft travels. The thing that I've noticed, and this is the unbeatable part of the travel system. If you're going to use a flopper shaft on a travel gun, that joint right there on the shaft is a weak point. There's no way about it.
Yeah.
The best answer I have to the travel portion is shooting a slip tip, because it will generally obviously take most of the pressure off the shaft, right? If it disengages properly and all that. And the other thing is having a shark fin on the front portion of the shaft and having your shaft connected. So you have a shark fin on the front portion.
Yep.
And that line keeps the front and back. So if it were to come unscrewed, God forbid, right? I like to use super glue, but you can use a number of different things, right, to keep those threads tight, Loctite or whatever. God forbid it does, right? But you shoot a big fish and that thing wants to come unscrewed, then yeah, you'll have that thing tied together, and your line is primarily attached to the front half of that shaft.
Oh,
but
okay.
That's the limit. That's the biggest limiting factor, in my opinion, is the shaft. Otherwise, the shooting is. Here's the thing: I shoot travel shafts and I shoot a travel gun exclusively now, just to prove a point.
Yeah, right.
If you look at my last year's worth of videos, it's all my 120 travel hybrid, and I've been shooting some pretty big fish with it lately.
So, in terms of shooting line, are you just running monofilament?
I'm avidly against mono at this point in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, and I shoot the Aussie reel line, right? That Dyneema, the obviously with the core and the outer. I know some guys will talk about the drag it adds potentially. I haven't noticed that. As long as the biggest issue with that line, right, is you have to be adamant about keeping it tight.
Yeah.
Mono is great because it stretches on its own, right? And I love that. But mono, if you're going to shoot in anywhere around structure, so Florida, right, you're hunting around all types of sharp metal. Australia and let's say you're going to Vanuatu. Man, that reef is razor sharp.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That mono, even in Mexico where I'm shooting, like if I'm shooting like 25-pound yellowtail in Mexico, even on those rocks that don't look that sharp, I've watched mono get torn to shreds.
Yeah.
So I just kind of gave up on mono, man. Cable for big, if I'm shooting doggies or any kind of big tuna or something like that, I'm going to go with cable. Otherwise, I'm going with the Dyneema.
How much cable?
So for your blue water, are you talking strength or length?
But length, okay, I was asking primarily, but now that you've mentioned strength, I want to know both.
Yeah, so I generally go above 400 on, if I'm going for tuna, I'm going above 400. Just you are like, man, 500-pound cable is pretty thick.
Yeah.
So 400 is kind of my happy medium. And then I double crimp. If I'm going for doggies, dude, I double crimp. Maybe a little excess, but I've lost enough doggies to know that. And some of them have been to single crimps. And then length. So on blue water guns, you have that bungee, right? That's going to your direct to your float line and direct to your shooting line. On that cable there, you should be doing one wrap around and then coming to your line anchor at the front of the gun and then straight back. That's it. I mean, you are talking 1.5 wraps, man. Because if you're going to go with all those extra wraps, and my biggest experience is obviously with doggies and stuff, you're just adding too much room for it to go and cam itself up on the reef and tear its body in half, which I've seen happen. So
yeah, there's a big argument against.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like double wraps, in my opinion, are a pain in the ass. And everyone wants it because, like, I've got the extra range of this blue water gun or double roller or whatever it is. It's like, if you're shooting beyond like 5 meters, 15 feet, I don't know. I mean, there are times and places for it. Like, I haven't done a lot of blue water hunting, admittedly, but I've come into trouble a few times with double wraps. And yeah. So I don't know. Yeah.
So a couple things on line management. This is actually one of the most common problems guys are going to get shooting that. This kind of goes with cable too, but back to that Aussie reel line, a shooting line. If you're going to, so here's the thing: rollers. I'm a big classic speargun guy. I'm not fully against building or shooting rollers. I build them. I prefer classics. With rollers and standard guns, no matter what, rollers are gonna get muzzle wrap more often than standard guns. It's just what I've seen. You want to keep that Aussie reel line tight, like I said. And then you're shooting your bands, your wishbones. Those things have got to be small. Keep them at like 2 inches to 3 inches max.
Wow.
And then keep that shooting line out of your bands. All that. So when you pull your band back, your shooting line might get like tucked under a band. That's muzzle wrap city right there.
Yeah.
So you want to clear all that out. And then with cable, like you're saying, the double wraps and stuff like that. If you go back into your videos, go back and check. And I recommend this to any Spearo, any guy, if I sell a gun to a guy, I'm like, and they're like, dude, I want a double wrap. I'm like, dude, I'm not giving you a double wrap. You can put it on yourself if you'd like. Go back into your videos and let me know what your average range is to those fish. I guarantee you it's between 10 and 15 feet on 95% of those fish. So there's no point. That's just my opinion. But so far, I I guess over the last 6 years, I totally ditched, all the things I was talking about, and I went single wrap to those two types of line, and muzzle wrap has gone away, and issues getting tangled up on reef has gone away. So
it's faster to reload too, isn't it? Guys can say what they like, but even roller guns, it's a tighter and it's a harder pull, and getting your fingers in there. I mean, there are assists and all the rest of it, but then you're adding further complication and things you got to carry and stuff. It is delightful sometimes just to have a fast reload, easy shooting line path, bang, 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 and I'm ready to shoot again in 15 seconds versus, like I've had rollers, and I'm a bit of a cabbage, I'll admit it, but, like a minute reload time is ridiculous to me. Like if I'm in thick fish and I'm swimming in current, I don't want to be spending a lot of time swimming into current, then trying to dive back down to whatever depth it is that I'm, the fish are all congregated at, and then, wrestling my gun to reload it while I'm trying to get all zen and do a decent dive. So
yeah, it's just the last thing you want to be doing, right? Yeah, there's a lot of fish around. The last thing you want to be doing is spending a lot of time reloading. And rollers, you're right, man. There is no two ways about it. Like rollers take longer to load. And I have my other issues with them aside from that, right? Like I like a little bit of recoil. To me, like when I have a little bit of recoil, I can at least it feels like my shot goes further. I don't know, but as far as like the whole flipping it over, if you have a couple hooks on the bottom and then flipping it back and putting it on the band hook and all that stuff, I'm with you. I would prefer just to do 2 pulls and be done with it and get back on the fish.
Yeah, because even just. You've got these limited windows when you're in these really fishy places. It's just simplicity is your friend, I think. You want to use every second of your time getting ready to hunt, stalk, and do that rather than mucking around with a spear gun, particularly if you've got sausage fingers like me and you're, the monkey brain and all the rest of it. I just want things to work and be simple. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. At the end of the day, a spear gun is a tool. No matter how beautiful or ugly your spear gun, whatever one you might have is, at the end of the day, it's a tool. And when you're about to pull that trigger, you're not really thinking about, how pretty my spear gun is. That's a side note. When you're about to pull that trigger on a big fish, you just want it to shoot right. You just want it to shoot straight. So functionality is in my opinion, overform, but you can't again, my company's name is Hot Rod Spear Guns. And I know a bunch of other builders who build pretty guns that are just perfectly functional. As long as you can meld the two together or mold the two together, that's what we're all searching for. But at the end of the day, it is a tool, and it should be treated as such. It's a tool and a weapon. It should be treated as such.
I kind of live my life like that, but my wife's the opposite. Like I'm a function over form type guy. She's a form over function. It's that funny thing where you're having arguments. I remember when I went into a motorcycle shop to buy my first motorbike, and I was kind of stuck between these 2 motorbikes, and this guy said to me, "Man, buy the bike that you park it in your shed and you are looking forward to getting on that thing and going for another ride again." And I think spear guns, if I can relate it to that, I think it's a little bit the same. Like you want to be almost excited about using it. If you have any sense of dread about a spear gun because of accuracy issues in the past or, issues like loading it and complexity, I almost reckon just give it away, sell it, and just buy something that you like and is consistently going to deal death over time, and you can just love it.
Yep. Yeah, man. I'm sure you have a friend, and I have friends who have had the same one gun for however many years, and they just continue to go back to that spear gun, and they never ever switch because of the fact that it's reliable, and they know exactly what they're doing with it. I think that's the ultimate goal as a spear gun builder too, is to build that gun where a guy picks it up, he loves using it, he knows exactly where it's going to shoot, and he has zero anxiety about picking that gun up and shooting it. So especially because you never know what you're going to go out there and find, depending on where you are too. I mean, you can go on the reef and you can get schooled by big doggies or something. You never know, but you want that thing just to perform, man. And we've all had that heartbreak moment where something happened, your gun did this or that, and Yeah, I can't always blame the arrow, but sometimes you can.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's being lazy and preparing your gear too, which I'm also guilty of.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just love a functional and simple spear gun that I can trust when I pull the trigger. Killshot spear guns utilize the finest of kiln-dried Burmese teak. Killshot spear guns also combine American-made parts and fine craftsmanship to bring you accurate, reliable, and simple spear guns that you can trust, fish after fish. Get $30 off any Killshot spear gun at killshotspearguns.com. Yes and amen, Nuber. That's $30 off American-made performance spear guns at killshotspearguns.com. I'm really sorry for this terrible accent, brought to you by Ed Martin at killshotspearguns.com.
Do you like to penetrate? Great news. Penetrator Fins, today's Noob Spearo podcast sponsor, are tough as nails. Robust, dependable performers with beyond industry standard warranty. Communicate direct with Larry and his team 24/7 for all your fin inquiries at penetratorfins.com or at penetratorfins on Instagram. Baby spum finish. These things are smooth as silk. They glide through the water. They give you that awesome balance between power and efficiency. This is Penetrator Fins. Use the code NoobSpearo to save $25 on any pair of Penetrator Fins at penetratorfins.com. That's right, use the code NoobSpearo to save $25 on any pair of Penetrator Fins at penetratorfins.com. Sometimes with weather and commitments, it's a long time between drinks in your spearfishing journey. If you want a dry training program that can keep you in some kind of shape for spearfishing, check out Ted Hardy's 28-day freediving transformation at noobspearo.com/Ted. That's noobspearo.com/Ted. Now, the 28-day freediving transformation is just a practical dry training plan that Ted Hardy will walk you through, and it will help you get results even if you can't get wet at the moment. Check it out at noobspearo.com/Ted. Paul, we went straight into the meat and potatoes of the interview. We went straight into talking about your bread and butter, which is spear guns. I'd love to hear a little bit about your story and where it all started. Like, where did the spearfishing life start for you?
I grew up doing it, man. So my dad, a military guy, I grew up all over the place, Hawaii, and then I lived in South America for a while, on Peru, and a lot was in California too. And you know, the first time I ever went, I think I was 6 years old, and it was with the 3-prong. My dad would take us out to just outside the first reef in Hawaii. And my first fish I ever shot was like some little, who knows what. And I was hooked from there, right? I shot the fish. I got back to shore. I put it in my fin. A wave, literally an eel came up out of the rocks and ate my fish.
Oh, wow.
Like the first fish I ever shot, like classic, spear fisherman losing his fish. But from there I was hooked, man. And I've had the fortunate, ability to travel and spearfish. I think I've spearfished almost every continent now. And
wow,
it's just been great, man. Like, yeah, the job I have now has allowed me to hit some places that I think people would never be able to hit before, so that was pretty awesome. But just my whole life, man, it was like my brothers want to get, they want to get in and surf. And I was like, I don't care. Like I can get in the water for 7 hours off the coast of San Diego, freeze my butt off in a 5 mil looking for white sea bass or whatever. Dude, I'll be in the water for 30 minutes surfing and I'm miserable. I'm freezing. I'm like, I'm done. Like I'm out. So I think something about the hunt, man. It's just something about the hunt to me, and coming home, bring dinner home, right? I think inspires a lot of Spearos. But yeah, that's kind of how it went for me, man. And then obviously the gun building kind of came after, woodworking too. So I just grew up doing both those things.
Sounds like a natural sort of progression. Like, I mean, given the fact that you were traveling and spearfishing in a lot of different places, makes sense that you'd want to build a travel spear gun. You're solving your own problem. You're scratching your own itch.
Maybe it's manifested itself just by nature.
Yeah. Man, I like your Instagram. I like what you do on there. I was having a poke around this morning, and I liked one of your videos in particular. You had an overhead shot of a bank of your spear guns, like I think there was about 8 of them. And the question you were addressing is one that a lot of gun builders get asked. It's what's the best all-round spear gun size? Can you talk us through what your thought process is with regards to this question?
Yeah, it's the question I get almost every time I get an order, and it's the most impossible. I literally got the question yesterday, actually, but it's an impossible answer because you can't build a guy a spear gun that he's going to use in every single underwater environment. It's just not feasible. The question I got yesterday was, can I go offshore in New York and shoot tuna and also shoot fish inshore in 10 feet of viz? And I said, well, I can't necessarily. If I recommend you a gun that does all of that, it's going to be lacking. It's going to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. And so I think that's kind of where another evolution of the travel gun with the multiple tubes. And it obviously pertains to dudes who have boats, right? You're not going to change that in underwater or in the water, but that it's just an impossible question to answer. And I think other companies have came up with a concept where it's like, it's just one gun. You just switch it out,
Yeah.
And I think right now that's the best answer we've got. And I think the roller community tried to answer that question. 105, 115 roller.
Yeah.
It's small enough and it does everything. But man, I test almost every single spear gun in a pool. I have access to a pool and I test almost every single spear gun. And, I've shot every type, right? Hybrids, inverted rollers, standard rollers, double rollers, classics, big boys, whatever, you name it, dude. And at the end of the day, the power of the roller was not what it's been advertised in real life. I see all these equations and I see all these like scientific reasoning, parasitic power, lack of recoil equals more,
Yeah.
And it didn't translate, man. It just doesn't translate to me in the water. I've seen great companies do that and they put their gun at like 7 meters and they kind of get a shot off that barely pierces a tiny little board. And I'm like, dude, it's not the all around, man. It's not the all around, in my opinion. It's just, and the other thing we've talked about.
Sorry, man. I want to interrupt you there because I've had a question for a while and I've been looking to really ask a gun builder. Do you feel like rollers throw a shaft far, but they don't generate the power to penetrate large fish?
Yeah, it almost seems like that's the case. Is the shaft? It's almost as if there's less wobble and the shaft travels because there's less wobble. That's what it seems like to me, because when I watch a roller shaft leave the spear gun, it is in line. There's generally no flex. When I see a overpowered gun fire a narrow shaft, let's say really far, that shaft is still all over the place. And I think that wobble, it catches the water or something and it causes it to go, maybe not as far, but at the same distance, I'm still seeing, that one shaft has more power. I can't fully explain it, man, but it does seem like that's the case.
Okay.
And I've literally sat at 15 feet. I shot a roller and let's say this much of the spear went through, 2 feet of the spear went through. And I've had clean pass-throughs on the same size standard gun, at 15 feet. So pool testing has been enlightening and I've been doing it. So I've been doing hardcore, like almost every gun I sell in the pool for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
And man, it's been really enlightening. It's been great for the builds themselves.
I think everyone has bias, like, particularly as you get older. Bias is just simply like, like mental shortcuts, basically, to help us make faster decisions. And sometimes the older you get, the more biased you become. And you're used to taking shortcuts in your thinking for everything. I think a bias informed by a lot of experience testing, though, is different kind of bias. It's, obviously you're making some assumptions when you pick up a spear gun, but at least it's been informed by hundreds of hours in the swimming pool. What were you going to ask?
Oh shoot, I forgot. That was such a good point. I was starting to think about it. I was thinking about how. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
You're a biased conventional spear gun man, though. But at least it's been informed by ours in the pool. Most of us, it's just we just have these subjective opinions about it. A lot of old school guys are just like conventional, and a lot of newer guys are 100% rollers, and I've played around with both. I like them both. Some of my mates that chase bigger fish, and I haven't got out and chased bluefin tuna or dogtooth or, you know, I haven't even shot a wahoo yet. I still haven't shot it. I haven't shot a big cobia. There's lots of fish that I haven't shot, particularly bigger species, yeah? So sometimes when I'm talking about this stuff, it's just purely ideas. But some of my mates, they will say that they love conventional spear guns, particularly big timber guns for chasing larger, thicker-bodied fish. And that's people with a lot of experience with spear guns as well. Yeah,
and you need the right tool for the job. Like I said, it's just a tool. But I literally have a 110 travel hybrid roller that I shoot. Yeah. That I actually have brought on the boat for the last few trips. I shoot it a lot less, and it's got zero recoil. It's pinpoint accurate, but it only shoots 15 feet or, you know, maybe less than that. And I'm talking like that is the max range. And maybe you don't need all that power, but like with a big, like I did shoot a bigger cobia recently at a bit longer range. I don't know if that shaft would have got through. Yeah. I know I'm eating my words now. I'm like, oh, most of your shots are 10 to 15 feet, but this gun, I literally have been forcing myself to shoot rollers. And it's funny because all my boys, they're conventional guys. Yeah. They see me with the roller, like, oh, what, dude? What are you doing? Like, why are you shooting that piece of crap? I'm like, dude, I have to. Like, I have to do it enough. Like, I have to take it in the pool. I have to shoot it in the ocean. I have to literally shoot fish with it. Yeah. Before I can say, I'm not a roller guy, man. You know. So, and I've been doing that. Like, I've been doing that a lot. And it's just, everybody's got their own flavor, man. I don't knock roller guys. And like I said, I build roller guns. I like a little bit of recoil, and I like my easy setup.
Well, like guys that like recoil, they don't call it recoil, do they? They call it feedback.
That's like a tradition. That's like being on the actual gun range. You know, that's what they call it. Yeah. A little bit of feedback.
Yeah, military background coming through. So where do you do most of your spearing these days? Are you out Channel Islands?
Yeah, so these days I'm out in the North Gulf. I'd say North Gulf, just generally Florida. I spear all over Florida, man. It's an easy ride for me where I'm at, and it's been good, man. The grouper season's open up in some counties. Nice. It is opened up, so gags, and then cobia. Man, cobia is so good. Like it's to me it tastes the best out of almost any fish out here in Florida.
Wow.
So
what are you doing with it? Like you shoot yourself let's say a 50-pound cobia. What's your average treatment of that fish?
All right, so I'm getting every little bit of meat off of that thing that I can. I harvest the collars on every good sized fish. I'm actually about to eat collars tomorrow night.
How good are they?
For the cobia itself, I will always start off with raw and a beer.
Yeah, wow.
I'm done diving. I will cut off like a nice part of the shoulder or somewhere maybe on the belly if I'm feeling it. I'll go raw with some soy sauce and a beer, and then the next day I'll do ceviche. Yeah, my wife makes a bomb ceviche, so I can make ceviche, but she's just so much better than me. So I'll give her a couple pounds of cobia for ceviche, and then the next day, like I'm like eating cobia for like 4 straight days. Like last night, I had I'm on day 4 or 5 right now, like eating cobia straight.
You down to tacos?
Blackened last night.
Hey, what's that?
Blackened with just like your average spice, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and then I'll do the collars. I'll just fry them, man, like deep fry.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's so good. It tastes like chicken, man. It's so good.
I got a friend, and I got a recipe book coming out soon, and he submitted it for the book. It's 99 Spear Recipes, but he just freezes up all his collars, and then when he has like a football game on, and all his mates come around, he does all his collars. So he'll have like 6 different species of fish, all the the wings and stuff, and that's the way he does that. That was a cool one, I thought, and just a good idea, like for people that do like sport nights and stuff like that, and like to just sit around and nibble on something while you're having a beer.
It really is finger food, man. I mean, a bunch of my guys at work, they eat fish, but they don't eat fish like we eat fish, right? And so I'll be like, hey dudes, like we'll be on a work trip and I'll go fishing and I'll bring back a cobia, I'm like, hey dudes, we're gonna eat fried collar tonight. And they're like, what is that? You know, but dude, I feed them the cobia collar, and they're just like, dude, give me some more of that. You know, like my friend fed his daughter some cobia the other night, and she thought it was chicken.
Yeah.
I love
Maybe
it, man.
chicken of the sea. That might be what we have to call them.
I'm gonna have to get that recipe book from you, man, because I'm sure there's some other chefs out there that got way, because you're collecting it from dudes, or is it all?
Nah, it's all crowdsourced, man. So like, more than 70 different people submitted more than 170 recipes. Maybe only 160 approximately have made it into the book. We're just sort of closing out. We just did a beta reading round. 80 people went through the book looking for like spelling mistakes and stuff like that. So hopefully we got the majority of it, and then should be out to print in the next month or so. But it's exciting.
Man, that's super cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that. I'm gonna have to buy that from you, man. That sounds awesome.
There's some game changers in this. Like, I was going to say, your wife might have a lot of success with ceviche because she might be using palm sugar, because a lot of people just use brown sugar or raw sugar or white sugar or whatever. I think palm sugar is a game changer with ceviche. The other thing I was going to say, man, and I recommend every single person that spears fish should have one of these, and that's a smoker. It doesn't need to be an elaborate Traeger, high-end smoker. I'm talking like hardware store $70 smoker with just wood chips that you heat up in a chimney, pour them in the bottom, baste your fish fillets in salt and brown sugar, chuck it in there for an hour, hot smoked fish, and you can use trash fish. Tastes absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I do have a smoker, and I have done a little bit of that, but I haven't dived into that enough. You're right, I should, and especially being American, man, we smoke everything. So
yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I gotta do some more of that.
Great news, guys. Adam Stern has made his freedivingfamily.com courses available at a discount for the Noob Spearo community. If you get on freedivingfamily.com, use the code Spearo, you'll get 20% off any course. There's a bunch of sick courses on there. There's an equalizing stage 1, there's an equalizing advanced techniques video there. They're two of my absolute favorites. If you have any problems with equalizing, go to freedivingfamily.com. Get Adam's course and use the code Spearo to get 20% off any course. Check it out at freedivingfamily.com.
Shrek, dude, you're killing it on the Noob Spearo podcast. Every guest you get on froths on the spearing lifestyle, and the actionable info is off the chain. Over here at Spearing Magazine HQ, it's the same, buddy. So many noobers are submitting their adventures, lessons learned, and pictures here at spearingmagazine.com. I just wanted to say that noobers can get an international subscription at spearingmagazine.com. Also, they can check out our In the Face apparel or get a subscription to the greatest spearing magazine on the planet. That's all right here at spearingmagazine.com. I am Jeremy Gamble, and man, I love the Noob Spearo podcast. This is Jeremy out.
Rubber on power bands, or power bands as you guys call them. We call them rubbers here in Australia, but power bands in America. How do you see?
That's so American.
Yeah, I try to bung it on, but I do love the American accent. But rubber or power bands, how do you most commonly see Spearos sort of get it wrong?
I think guys are overpowering a little bit too much. And I think the other thing that I'm seeing is guys are tying these like insanely long wishbones, and that seems like such a minute, thing of minutia, but it's actually huge, man. It'll fix your muzzle wrap issues if you're having them.
You would hate my last spear gun. I did tied the bands, and literally the bridles were like 4 inches long. They were awful. My mates were taking the piss out of me. So you're preaching to the choir here about in terms of what I should do.
Yeah, I used to do some pretty long ones myself, and then I was like, why? And then I found out. I had a friend. He's like, I'll try tying them closer together. A good friend of mine, a smart guy, and he it was a great recommendation. I'm religious about it now, but yeah, I'd say the other is guys want to overpower. Like here's the thing about like bands. Your band to shaft ratio is huge, and I don't mean I mean the diameter of your shaft to how many bands and what diameter they are as well. In my experience, the most consistent shooting combo that I've seen is actually a 5/16. So about an 8 mil. It's just under 8 mil with three 14 mils. The 14 mils are great bands, man. Honestly, I sometimes will just straight up run two 14 mils on my smaller guns because for some reason they just seem to shoot cleaner. I don't know how to explain it. And I'll tie them to just about or just under the length of the 16 mils. I won't even go that much shorter.
Do you think the modern 14 mil power bands that we're getting these days, like the internal diameter is so small, they almost pack in the same amount of rubber as the old 16 mil bands? Do you think that's part of it?
I mean, the old bands had some pretty big holes in them. You're right. But so a guy on Instagram, I forgot who it was. He did a pretty good test. Gosh, I'm blanking on
Chris
the name.
Coates?
It was no, it wasn't Coates. It was a smaller builder. And maybe Chris Coates did a test. I never saw that one, but there's another guy who did a really, really in-depth. And basically what it showed was, and I hate to kill people's dreams, but the small ID stuff doesn't have that much of an effect on. That's what his test revealed. It seemed like a pretty decent test, man. And I couldn't like recall everything about the test. All I know is like, when it all came down to it, his report on the test was, yes, hey man, these small ID bands giving you like a little bit extra. What I think they do is they extend the band life though, which he couldn't test, right? I think you got more rubber to extend the band life. For some reason, I just see the 14 mils, man, they handle that lifetime of getting stretched back and forth better than 16 mils. The 16 mils is just a little more rigid, right? And you can feel it in your band, and it seems to not last as long. Now, what I will say is the prime line stuff, what most guys are using, really good rubber. You can't go wrong with prime line. And I will always, always, always tell guys, black over amber. I know you guys want your pretty colors. Black over amber, dude, your bands are going to last longer because that black's going to protect your amber bands from the UV rays. Yeah. And you're going to extend your band life. Plus, something about it's just stronger. I don't know. It just seems stronger to me.
Yeah, wow.
So
okay.
That's usually my recommendation to guys, man.
So with guys like thinking about their spear gun and how powered up they have it, you're suggesting like for under 8 mil, which was a 3/16, I think you said, 5/16.
5/16 of an inch is 8 mil almost.
All right, so almost. Smaller than that, you're saying 14 mil is generally pretty good.
Yeah, so 5/16, I would go with 3/14s or 2/16s.
Yep.
That's like, to me, the going rate. If you're going to go with the 9/32, go with 2/14s and feel it out, because you're gonna see your shots going to be more accurate, in my opinion, and you're not going to lose much as far as range goes. I don't know, guys. You just see the numbers. You're like, more power. That equals more power. And I don't think it doesn't seem to work like that, man.
9/32 is, what are we talking about here? Like 6 mil, maybe.
9/37.5 ish. Man, I got to double check. It's somewhere in between 7 and 7.5.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, that seems like a big catch point for imperial versus metric. Like, I'm generally pretty onto it with, distance and stuff, translating to metric. But when it comes down to the smaller measurements, millimeters just seems so much more precise and easier than the inch. Like, it's just it's hard to get my head around sometimes, to be honest.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm just a dumb, stubborn American, and I'm going to stick with my inches. but you guys are right. Like, metric system is smarter.
I wish you just compromise.
It's so much simpler. Yeah. I'm just being stubborn by sticking. I call it millimeters commie units. Like, that's just what we do as Americans, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, good brother. Talking about your local hunting, what's a species that you love to target at the moment? How do you do it successfully? And I'd love to hear a story about it.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about Cobia. Let's choose something else. I'm going to go with locally.
Grouper season's opening up. What are you doing?
Yeah, man. Grouper, I'd say African Pompano, man. So Kagami.
Oh, yeah.
Man, they're also just so delicious. And when you get walled by them, it's just, it's like, it's so cool, man. I mean, they're all just like, they're pretty dumb, right? When they do come up to you, when they're in that big school, right? When they're in onesie twosies, super skittish. When they're schooled up like that, they'll come right in your face. And I don't know if you've experienced that before, but yeah, we did some fishing and pretty far offshore. And it was a buddy of mine, Worth. He's a super good dude that I fish with out here, him and a couple other dudes. And we were out fishing at this one spot, and it was actually kind of murky, and you had to get down below the 70-foot. I think it's like a 70-foot thermocline. So you're hitting that 70-foot thermocline, dude. They're right there, just in and out. And man, it was like, just take your pick. I ended up I shot one with my bigger gun, and I was like, this is insanely easy. I took my little 90 down there and just blasted one, and ended up stoning that one. Man, it was just a good day. They're just such a delicious fish. You can do anything with them, man. Like, just like Cobia, you can do anything with those fish.
How do you find them? So you're saying, like, this time, like, obviously, like with fishing, we all have these rules of thumb. Like, some people go for structure. Obviously, here the thermoclines seem to be a point of aggregation for them. What other sort of things are you looking for to find bits? Like schools of them.
Yeah, so for APs, I can't say I've hunted enough to give you like the rules, right? But what I can say is I found them in days with decent current. Again, when they school up, they're a lot dumber. When they're onesie twosies, they're a bit more skittish. But if you give them time to if you swim away from them, almost, I've seen them come back. And then I've seen them. I generally see them like clearer water, man. And then temperature is a big thing too around here, and everywhere is going to differ. But in my opinion, just like with the Cobia I'm seeing right now, like that 74-degree mark to me is like, I kind of see, and that's like worldwide. Like 74 is a really good number worldwide. I can't say for which species, like every species, but there's a lot of species that to me 74 is a magic number.
Wow. 74 is 23 degrees Celsius. Okay, that's nice, comfortable spear in there too. Florida seems really to get a fair bit of that. Yeah. Yeah,
so that's the temperature we're getting in the spring and in the fall, and that's when I'm shooting on my Cobia.
Nice.
So, yeah,
right, cool. So how's the?
And I know it has to do with mating patterns too, and when they come in and all that. But I even Cobia, which I've shot more of, I haven't had enough time to really get it down. Guys spend so much time. Like, I had logs for like fish like doggies, man, because they're harder, I think, to even read the doggies than those. But you got to keep a log, and you got to just go when nobody else will, and you got to literally like just write everything down so you remember it, because that's how you find those numbers, I think.
What are the prevailing conditions up there at the moment in terms of what's happening in the ocean? Down here at the moment, we're in the grip of a La Nina sort of season, and we're dealing with a lot of rainfall, and it's changed things up a little bit. What are you guys looking at up there, and how do you think about weather and how it impacts your spearfishing?
Well, weather's everything. Windy is what I generally use, as long as you're on the right satellite or the radar, the right forecast model for your area. So for here, I'm looking at NOAA, which is the most accurate in my experience. And then we're just we've had a really, really windy winter and spring, to be honest with you. And it just seems like over the last couple of weeks, it started to mellow out, and lots of dudes started killing fish. Like, you look on Instagram, like all of Florida dudes just seem like they're just wrecking fish. And the other thing is, man, weather's everything, but you also have to be cognizant of the seasons here. Florida is so rigid about their seasons, which I love. I mean, they've kept their fishery healthy, or so it seems to me. That I think that, yeah, like those couple of things combined, right? Like, it seems like we were waiting all winter long, and it finally cleared out right when like it was good temperatures and all this stuff, and finally guys are killing fish. But those are probably temperature in the water is my biggest weather factor, and obviously wind is my big, if I'm going on the boat, like wind is my next biggest factor.
Managing, we're getting into fishery science here, and I'm aware we're both bro scientists probably, but
yeah,
but like managing a fishery, seasonally. seems to potentially have quite a few benefits because you could close out their spawn season where you get, these huge aggregations, and then arguably they're very easy to target and possibly overfish. So you can protect them when they're at their most vulnerable, and then you have these times where the fishery is open for a limited window and people get in there and they absolutely smash it. But it's in Florida there, it seems to work, because the fishery seems abundant.
Yeah, I think, man, I've only been in Florida for a couple of years, right? I was overseas for the majority of the last 10 years, but I think they've done a good job, and I go out, and it's funny because I'm not used to this. You go out and you cannot shoot most of the fish that are around.
Yeah.
So when it looks really healthy and you're about to go crush it, you're actually searching through all of the fish you can't shoot to find the one dumb one who's in season who you can shoot. And that's the crazy thing is you'll go out there and not, when it's not grouper season, and there's gag grouper lining the ocean floor.
Yeah.
And you go out the very next day, you first day of season's obviously always the best, but second day of the season, they've caught on already. They have caught on.
Yeah.
And you go out there and they're gone, dude. And it's in spots where you normally see hundreds of them.
It's very different than the way we do things here. So it's kind of cool to think about and to hear about. As you've traveled sort of around the world and you've explored different spots spearfishing, how have you learned to think about and plan your dives? Where are you going to dive, and what are you going to target, and who are you going to go with? I mean, what are some of your sort of tips to be successful?
I think if you're going to spend a lot of money and go to some spot overseas, give yourself time, dude. Especially during typhoon season, if you're in that side of the world, right? Or hurricanes or whatever you're going to experience. And plan it around. Man, I don't want to give too much away because there's the trade secrets. Guys already generally know this stuff, right? Guys know what they're looking for in the moon. They're looking for in the tides. They're looking for in the sea state, time of year. Because in the places where they didn't have the rules that Florida has, there are spawning seasons, but the fish are overfished, so they're smart during spawning season, but they're still more plentiful than they would be. Or if you're going to go fish a spot, you got to ask the locals. And if there aren't a lot of locals, then you're probably doing a good job. But I would say give yourself time, man, because the trips that I planned where I didn't give myself enough time, it was the next day you're leaving and it's just cherry, it's an oil slick out there. But yeah, and then obviously, you're looking at tides and moon and all that stuff, man. And then whatever target species you're going for, you need to make sure that they're going to actually be there that time of year. And if you don't have a reference for that, then you might be the guy going to suck it up for a week or two and explore that area and not maybe see it, but you might find something else, which has happened to me before. I've gone to places and just got totally skunked on the target species, but made out on another species that I wasn't expecting to see.
Can you think of a specific time where that's happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was down in the Philippines, and the Philippines has some great fishing, man. There's a lot of problems with the Philippines as far as fishing goes.
Dynamite fishing in parts.
They just destroy their reefs, man. And it's unfortunate. A lot of people in the Philippines haven't got taught how to take care of the reefs, and they have such beautiful reefs. The ones that still are doing it right. I went to look for doggies. I found wahoo. I found a wahoo. It sounds cool. I spent so much time looking for doggies, and I crushed, my sinuses. I was sick, but at the end of the trip, made out with a bonus wahoo and saw some really cool stuff. My buddy and his wife. It was actually kind of a work trip. She came down, but they got to go surfing. It was cool, man. So and there's just, you make the best of it, man. You really do. But you're not going to find a new spot unless you go explore it. If nobody's asking questions about a spot, and you're the first person to be asking questions about a spot, good on you.
What's the most special fish you've ever lost, and what did you learn from it?
The most special fish I ever lost was probably, so I couldn't give you the exact weight. It was a big doggy, man. I want to say it was 150 plus.
Wow.
So what is that? 75 kilos about. I have a picture. I think it's on my Instagram. Where my buddy Stone Trout. He took the picture. It's got 3 floats underwater.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's got two gannets, and Evolve float underwater. And I shot this fish just high over the spine, and I watched this fish cam itself off on the reef at about 100 feet down, and I watched it tear its body in half. Literally from the spine up, it tore its body in half with my slip tip, and it got eaten by sharks.
Oh wow, man, that's painful.
That was a hard one, and luckily I shot one close to that size later on. But I learned the biggest lesson was shot placement. And I tell guys who are going to hunt doggies, like, dude, you got to aim for the under the spine or hit the gill plate. Like, you're gonna probably lose that fish if you don't put it in one of those spots.
I'm looking at your Instagram now, man. It's pretty phenomenal. I can't see the picture you're talking about, but if people go to Hot Rod Spearguns, they can come and have a look at some of Paul's history. Man, you got some there's some phenomenal memories here. I can see. It looks like you've targeted it broadly too. Like I can see a big green jobfish. Are they a species you like to target when you have opportunity to do so?
Yes, sir. I think jobbies are the best reef eating in the entire world. Oh, in my opinion,
big call.
I think they. I think the close second would be Max.
Yeah,
it's a tough call, man. But out of the reef species, I think jobbies probably take the cake. And they're pretty much worldwide. I mean, you get them out in Hawaii, you get them down, down south, you get them out in Australia, Indo, you name it, you get them, right? And to find a big one around the 20-pound mark, and I've seen a couple 30s. I've seen one that maybe was 40. Not wow. Joking, but I think my biggest was like a 25 pounder, and that was a special fish, man. To me, that's almost as special as a 100-pound doggy.
I love it when they're swimming at you and then they sort of turn on a dial. I actually, I designed a T-shirt specifically around the jobfish, basically just because of their ability to just outweight you on the bottom.
Yes.
And there's ways to cheat. Cheat is a very relative term, but where you use burley and stuff like that, and to get them up in the shallows and stuff. I'm going to see if I can show you this. I'll share my screen with you. The viewers at home can't see this, but if they go to noobspearo.com up into the shop menu, can you see that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I can see it.
It says, "Do you even freedive, bro?" And the jobfish is smashing through a set of human lungs. That's built just around this concept that you and I are talking about now. It's like, and they turn on a dime, and all their dorsal fin arcs up, and they just, they're amazing fish. Like they really are. Yeah, their composition and the way they move underwater is just cool, because they're not really like a reef fish. They're kind of like some weird in between thing, eh?
Yeah, it's like they got half and half. Like. You could literally be in 200 feet of water, 150 feet of water, and you'll start dropping some chum for a wahoo, and all of a sudden these jobbies are coming off the bottom.
Yeah,
and they fit right in.
Yeah,
and they fit right in. And they're pretty quick when they want to be. And that's the thing, is I think just based on whatever they're eating and their lifestyle, I think that's why they're so delicious. I like one. I was with my friend, we were going diving. I was like, dude, when a jobby comes at you and it's just kind of logular, like it comes at its head on, dude. Like in your shirt.
Yeah, I love it.
It looks like a log coming at you, dude, because like on those big ones, just like their cheeks and all that. Like, it's such a beautiful fish, man. It's always a good time being able to land a good size one.
They always seem to approach you on that same angle too, eh? You know what I mean? Like, they never, it's just on a slight angle, and then they're always leaving themselves room to turn on a dime, and then just and then they're gone. They're gone skis when you spook them proper. Yeah,
I found that aside from burley or chum, the next best way is to be a really good freaking diver and lay on the bottom and toss sand.
Yeah,
that's like, there's like 2 ways to shoot a good jobby, and those are it.
Yeah, I love it when like multi-day reef trips where I actually get some sustained diving, and I find I start holding bottom time and enjoying myself, and I'm comfortable. Like I've you call it the jobfish dance, where you just you're on the bottom throwing sand and hiding, and then trying to get them in, and It's so much fun, man. Like you like if you shoot one fish for the day and you're doing that for the whole day, like 6 hours in the water, and you get one special fish, it makes it all worthwhile. I mean, you don't even need a fish. You just enjoy the exchange, the battle of wits. They're one of those fish that are just what makes spearfishing so addictive, I think, sometimes.
They really are. And I think the bang for your buck is there too. Because here's the thing is, guys are obsessed with the big eye bream, the sea bream, right? The moo. And don't get me wrong, I've shot my fair share. I love shooting them. They don't taste as good as jobbies, but they make you wait as long or longer. Yeah. And the dance is not as fun, dude.
Yeah.
With jobbies, you do enjoy it because they actually give you, I think they give you a reasonable chance. Yeah. With the moo, it's almost like, hey, dude, this is going to suck. Like this dive is gonna suck, and you're gonna have to pay your dues. Yeah, but, yeah, man, and they just don't taste as good. So.
Got a sweet deal for you today, guys. Go to freedivingfamily.com and learn from Adam Stern and a select team of experts on different disciplines. There's Frenzel, Advanced Frenzel and Hands-Free Equalization, Mouthful, Deep Frenzel Equalization, Bifitting Essentials. These are courses that will give you the 1% that will allow you to improve. Use the code Spearo to get 20% off any course at freedivingfamily.com. Again, that's the code Spearo to get 20% off at freedivingfamily.com. Thanks, Adam and team. Love it. Kill fish with precision and power, sending shafts from a stable platform with Killshot spear guns. Made in the Florida Keys by Ed Martin, you're buying American-made, dependable spear guns. Get $30 off any Killshot spear gun at killshotspearguns.com. Yes and amen, Nuba. That's $30 off American-made performance spear guns at killshotspearguns.com. It says if they're in the shop or on the phone, they can cash in by saying, "Crikey, mate," or the Noob Spearo podcast sent me. Check them out at killshotspearguns.com, based in the Florida Keys. Are you following at Old Man Blue Dive on Instagram yet? Bert Calder, creator of the Old Man Blue Dive gear, is an absolute legend. They're people that froth on the spearing life and intentionally make super hard wearing and practical gear that will stand the test of time. Visit oldmanblue.com.au and check out a bunch of tough, robust equipment made by people that are just as passionate about spearing as you are. oldmanblue.com.au. Toughest situation. What's something that's happened to you which has scared you and made you think differently or adjust and take maybe more steps or do something differently in order to be safe?
Yeah. Okay, I got two stories. The first one I'll make quick. It's I shot. So I was like, hey man, I'm gonna shoot the belt reel and the reel today. Me and my buddy were going hunting for doggies. Shore dive, and he had the float set up. He ended up being the phone a friend guy, so he shot the first doggy, which was smaller. 50-pounder comes in, which a 50-pound doggy is like a good doggy, but it's still so strong. You're gonna lose. And my reel on my gun locked up, and my belt reel started going off, and this boy was going down to 200 feet or 150 feet. I mean, he was gone, and I was running out of line on my belt reel. And my buddy came up and assisted me the last 15 feet. And we got the doggy. Everything was fine, but I was like, it was razor thin margins. So it was like, okay, no more belt reel. I think I actually have a video of that on my Instagram. And then the next one, which is kind of a bigger deal in my opinion. Second day of diving, had done some drinking the night before, just having a good time, but too good of a time.
Yeah.
Next morning, diving hard. Light current, but enough to be frustrating. Blue water to a rise that came up to it was a flat rise, came up to about 100 feet. And me and my buddies at this time, we were all diving 100 feet easily, right? But so I'm down at 105 feet, take a shot on this pretty big trout. I mean, he's probably 8 kilos, good sizer. And wow. Kind of where we're fishing, even the big ones weren't good sig, so we were cool to shoot those, need them.
Yep.
At least in my experience. The trout goes into a hole, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to untangle this while I'm down here. So I stay down, kind of start untangling it. And you can see on my GoPro, you can watch the shooting line go over. Was it over or under my GoPro? Regardless, what happens is I think it's over. My shooting line does a a hitch around my GoPro, which is it's under my hood. And I just been annoyed with the GoPro flopping around. I don't like masked GoPros. And I was like, I'm just going to put it under my hood. I kind of done that without issue. Well, that day I'm down at 105. I start kicking up. I got the trout out of the hole, and then I was like, I'm going to come back down. Things wrapped around my GoPro, start kicking up, and just cold stop.
Oh,
and I'm just like, and now I'm tired, man. I'm tired, and I'm like, I got to get to the surface. I start trying to shed this thing, and my mask, the way it was wrapped around my hood, and the GoPro, it was just it was Murphy, you know. And finally I basically had to flood my mat, like to pull my mask away a little bit, flooded it, rip my GoPro out from under my hood, drop the spear gun in the GoPro, and my buddy Bond. So my buddies JP and Bond are basically those dudes. They've been covering my back for too long. I've put them in those. So JP was the one who got me on the doggy with the belt reel.
Yeah. And
they helped me on this other time. We'd been diving together for 4 years. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, I probably pushed them more than they pushed me to go get them. I mean, I'd help them get some deep fish here and there, but like at the end of the day, I know I probably pushed them a little more. Bond comes down to 50 feet, and it's Stone Trout on Instagram, and he pulls me up, you know, the rest of the way. I wasn't out, but I was tired, and at the last 20 feet, I was getting a little bit of vision coming in, you know.
Yeah.
I can load a spear gun in about a minute, maybe 30 seconds. I took 20 minutes. So JP went down and got my GoPro, the fish, and the gun, pulled it up for me. Dude, legends. I love those guys. Hands me my fish, and it took me. He's like, just, you know, we're waiting for doggies, really, and it took me 20 minutes to reload my gun. My brain, my legs, everything was fuzzy. So yeah, that was a bad scenario, man. But those guys are pretty much the reason I'm still here. So yeah, I appreciate them.
Yeah, man. I mean, some massive takeaways from that from me just listening were like, I mean, I want to talk about the GoPro and just line cinching up on you too, because I mean, it's an uncommon scenario, but like when fish are in holes, I can see it happening. But having awesome buddies is just critical, eh?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's the most important piece of dive gear you're going to bring on the trip.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they're going to get you back, you know.
Yeah. With in terms of like hauling fish out of holes, I mean, when you're diving that depth, there's all sorts of other risks as well. Like squeeze is an issue as well, particularly when you're contracting your body and trying to exert yourself at depth in odd postures and stuff. But I'm glad that didn't happen. But shooting line management with reel guns can be quite tricky. Any thoughts about that? Or did you leave your gun outside of the hole before you went in and just pull yourself in on the shooting line, or?
So I shot the fish outside of the hole and he went in, but yeah, I ditched my gun. It was outside of the hole, but I basically dove, you know, kind of got heads into the hole, and that's when the line wrapped up. So yeah, I think it was Murphy at the end of the day. There was, I don't remember. I got to double check that. There might've been, I think it was a single wrap. There could have been a double wrap on that gun. Yeah. I doubt it, but.
Even with a reel, like an 8 kilogram or, you know, 16, 18 pound trout is going to, you know, it's going to haul probably a fair bit of line off your reel before it holes up. Yep. So you're going to end up with excess line either way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And, you know, it's just that line's strong and it does what it does well. Yeah. If you get caught in it, like, hopefully you have a sharp knife or you can ditch your belt or whatever is caught, you know.
I'm glad you're still here with us. And deep water hunting, but when it's clean and you've got good buddies, can be really gratifying too. Like, you can do some of this stuff if you you know, you guys are all in similar condition and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, we'd push each other, you know. I mean, on a normal day, if one of the guys went to 100 or one of the guys went to 115, like, we were there watching each other, and like, it was a known fact. Like, we always had the one up, one down. Like, but yeah, I think it was a combo of, like, we dove the day before, had beers that night, like, just a combo of things, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, try not to drink too much before I dive.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It makes it all sound even more hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah, far
yeah,
out.
just a little bit.
What about funny stuff? Are JP and, sorry, I forgot the other bloke's name. Are they funny guys to dive with?
Bon. B-O-N, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, this story actually involves these two dudes. It's a great story. All right, so this is the day before the day of the trout. So the day before that story, where I hadn't drank yet and we were just fishing, we get to a spot and we're looking for doggies, kind of off season, but it was like, we'll chance them. And got one small doggy, got a mahi. But then, dude, about a school of about 200 wahoo just shows up right outside the boat. We're like, oh, sick. Let's do it. I hop off one side with my gun, and then Bond and JP hop off the other side. I shot one right away, kind of let it run, asked the boat dude, I was like, dude, toss me to the gun. Shot another one. Within like 5 minutes, I get the wahoo in the boat, or 10 minutes, I get the wahoo in the boat. I look over. So Bond, the dude is a legend, man. Like he never gets buck fever. Like he shot a big, so his biggest doggy is 195 pounds. So almost 100 kegs, right? Or close to that, like 95 kegs. He is like super, if you watch his videos, like really sure shot, man.
Sorry, is that Dogtooth or wahoo? His biggest?
So his biggest dogtooth was 195.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So the funny thing is he's never shot a wahoo, and I'll tell you why. So he hops in the water, and JP essentially turns into his spear gun caddy. That's what we call him now. So Bond shoots, misses, reload. JP's just reloading guns and past him, and he just shoot and miss wahoo left. I don't know how many he missed. I think it was like 2 or 3 in the end, but it's just like this hilarious thing where like I went off on my own little thing for 5 or 10 minutes and got lucky and put 2 in the boat. And I just get in the boat and like it's just comical. Like they are just laughing because JP eventually shot one. Bond just like shoot, reload, miss. Dude, it's hilarious. I love the guy, man. He's honestly great diver, freaking sure shot, no buck fever, can kill anything without like his heart rate going up. But for some reason, these wahoo got the best of him. So
maybe it's surface shooting for him.
I think it could have been. Here's the thing, all of us know, like we have shot lots of mahi. On the surface, we all know. Like we all talked about this. Hey, we get underwater. Like it's a common subject for us to be like, hey, we're gonna get underwater when we shoot the mahi. Like, don't be an idiot. So like, and it was also a slicker day. Like there was nothing going on the surface. So I don't know what happened, but man, it's pretty funny. Old boy can slay a big doggy and stuff. And he's got a bunch of good kills under his belt, but for some reason the wahoo it wasn't happening.
Poor bugger. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeepers, that'd be tough.
He's all right though. It's funny. It's like there's days where like we had a day. It always comes around, right? Like you pay your dues. We took my dad out. Me and Bond took my dad out, and it was this like cool spot my dad hadn't been to in 20 years. And anyways, like we hadn't seen a doggy all day. A doggy comes swimming by, like nice 80, 90 pounder, and it was my turn to dive, but Bond was coming up and he didn't see it. And like I'm like, hey, like shouting underwater, like, hey, he like does the whole like, flips back underwater and like goes and he blasts it. It was awesome, man. So it goes around, comes around. Man, you got so many stories with those guys. Just I fish with them so much out, so we're not together anymore. We're all in different parts of the world, but man, those dudes, right. There's a couple other guys that I've been diving with for a few years now. Just great dudes. That's the thing I love about the spearfishing community is like how tight it is and how tight knit you get with your buddies.
We were going to head into the last sort of 2 parts of the show, and then I'll let you get about the rest of your day. I wanted to find out what was in your dive bag. So right. I think you're using just pipe guns, eh? You just sell people.
Yeah, man, big pipe gun advocate.
Yeah.
So right now we'll go head to toe. I have this old JBL mask that I actually really like.
Yeah.
My buddy here, Worth, that I dive with, he turned me on to these white snorkels, and all my other buddies make fun of me for it, but everybody can see me underwater. So I've been diving with this like white snorkel from Amazon, and then I dive a Waihana wetsuit. Those guys are super good dudes. Steve, one of the owners, I know him, and he's.
I've been talking to a few
nice guys, man.
I've been talking to a few people that are wearing those suits, and they like them. They got wraps on them.
Yeah, super comfortable, man. I like like they make the type where you don't have to put lube on, right? And so that's pretty nice. They call them the essentials. I'm diving. What is it? I don't remember the brand of fins. It's a Greek company. I forgot the name. And then I have like a Neptonics brand. I got 2 pairs of carbon fibers. I like medium to soft for the blade. And then I'm using, so my work issues me the Garmin, the Mark. I have a Mark 1, I think. Yeah, it's pretty nice. You know, like saves my exit and stuff like that. And then, oh, dude, my dive knife is this, like, my buddy built me one. He's a metals guy, and he built me this like titanium knife. I don't know what he did right, but I was like notorious for losing dive knives for like the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I have kept this knife now for the last 2 years, which is like insane for me, dude. I never hold on to dive knives. So it's this like cool titanium custom knife. And then
has he got a Instagram handle, or does he sell stuff?
Yeah, he doesn't sell stuff, but he's an awesome diver, Steven Whippler. Okay. He shoots pretty much shoots all my guns. Super good dude, man. He's like I said, man, just the friends that I've made through this, awesome dudes.
Yeah.
And a super smart guy, super nice dude, and he crushes it. He shoots a lot of big doggies and trout and stuff. And then the gun I said earlier, I was shooting the travel hybrid. I have the 120. 120, man. It's to cap it off, the 120 is to me the universal size. If you really, really had to, and if you're gonna dive murky water, put a mid handle on it. Yeah. But like I said, jack of all trades, master of none. So I'm shooting a 120 travel hybrid rear handle right now.
So if people want to check out your spear guns, they can go to hotrodspearguns.com. I'm going to link up a bunch of stuff in today's show notes as well. So if people like your Hot Rod Spear Guns on Instagram, go to noobspearo.com/hotrod, and I'll have all the stuff linked up, as well as a bunch of pictures, hopefully some video from Paul as well, and we'll do some drops on the socials. But people can check out the full range of your guns on hotrodspearguns.com.
Yeah, everything's on there. So I'm working. I'll keep it, I guess, a secret for now. I am working on one more model, and then there will be some changes to the blue water models next year. Just some, cosmetic and functional stuff. I built this gun that had ballast tubes in it, and I sold it to that Steven guy, a friend of mine, when we parted ways. And man, those water ballasts, I think they're pretty cool, and they actually level out your gun, and they do handle the recoil really well. So I'm gonna start building some more of those next year. That's probably the only other change that's going on. And yeah, I've got another gun I'm R&Ding for the next. I've been R&Ding it for 2 years now. Probably got another year on it. We'll see. So,
man, I'm loving your backdrop. All those fish prints you've got up the top there. Who are they by?
Yeah, so these are all. I mean, I got a doggy up there. See that one on the ceiling? There's wahoo and mahi back. Those are all Gyutakus.
Yeah, nice.
You know that Japanese fish printing?
Yeah,
man.
Do you do it yourself? Did you do those yourself?
No, I did not. I had an artist do it for me. Okay. Yeah.
Shout out to
some little old lady.
Really?
Yeah, she's a legend. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know her name.
She's fully colored them in and everything. Like so it's above and beyond Gyutaku. Like, wow. Cool, man.
Yeah, because a lot of it's black and white, and black and white has its like cool vintage look.
Yeah,
I kind of like them.
Yeah,
I never got any done. I got some buddies that had some black and white ones, but to me, the color's the way to go, man.
Yeah. Oh, I like a bit of everything. I love seeing fish art. I mean, I just think the taxonomy or the biology of a fish, like they're just so unique and so different. And when you start to geek out on all the little details, you appreciate them more. And it's not. I think trophy hunting of old, a lot of people have these mixed perceptions of it. With Gyutaku, it's a way to immortalize a fish, but also to appreciate more of it, I think. And I want more of it on my wall, basically. So, this is just,
dude, they're amazing.
Yeah,
that would be something like somebody in the States needs to get really good at that. The problem is you got to be where the fish are, right? Or somewhere to Australia. Like, first of all, you got to be a good artist, but to to do that, like nobody's doing it in the States. There's a few guys that might do it themselves, but someone who's like, this is what I do, you know. I think there's some guys in Hawaii who might do it. There's some really good artists out there, but you know, you're talking about the biology, taxonomy of the fish. The guys who do those, like the bone structure.
Oh yeah, that's cool too.
Those are sick, man. Those are so cool.
Yeah, it's so much work to boil them and then get the bone looking right, and then glue it all together and stuff. Like, oh, you got some doggy jaws there.
Yeah, I was gonna show you. I got this is my ghetto version. This is the my first 100-pounder. I kept it. That's the one print up there on the ceiling. I kept a lot of things out of him. He had a couple fish hooks and a weight in his belly.
Wow.
And, yeah,
fish with a lot of character.
Got a bunch of souvenirs off of him.
I'm gonna have to do that with my first one too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Their skulls are so cool, man.
Yeah. Paul, it's been awesome chatting Hot Rod. I really want to just head on out with a faster paced round of questions. It's Spearo Q&A. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. You're a traveling man. So what is the spearfishing destination that, with all the knowledge you have now, you would most like to go to, and why?
Somewhere in Africa, probably, because there's a lot of places you can't get to in Africa.
Yeah.
And they got doggies.
For sure they do. What's my man's name over there? I'm going to remember it in a minute. I mean, Barrett Harvey, African Spearfishing Diaries, but Chris Coates out of Mozambique. There's Latham Island a bit further north with the boys up there. Like, there's I see the appeal. If you had to start spearfishing all over again, what would you do differently?
Man, that's a hard question. I would probably wouldn't freak my dad out so much as a kid. I was starting to dive deeper than him when I was like, 13 or 14. Yeah. And I worried him a few times, and I would go back like, why'd you do that? Just relax,
Yeah.
But he's a good diver still, man. That guy's an ace in the water. So
sounds like a good way to start, man. Who has been the most influential person in your spearfishing? Probably
got to throw it back to my dad.
Yeah.
That guy. So I mean, he got me into it, and he kept me safe. Younger diver, and taught me like the right ways to go about it, in my opinion. So yeah, it's just all around. And he's still. I mean, he's still doing it. It's impressive. So yeah.
Last question, Paul. Could you describe what the spearfishing experience means to you in one sentence?
The spearfishing experience is my obsession. It gets me in trouble a lot. I don't know. One sentence, probably not one sentence, but I'd say the spearfishing experience is an obsession that I think takes hold of a lot of us. And you got to remember just to, what you're taking, take care of your buddies, and just enjoy it, man. Don't get so wrapped up on killing the biggest fish all the time. At the end of the day, you're just there to enjoy it.
We ran out of time. I was going to ask you some dangerous questions about how do you balance family life and spearfishing, as well as running a business as well, man. But absolute pleasure having you on. I'd encourage people to check out hotrodspearguns.com, or at least follow you on Instagram and see what you're doing, because you don't just there's education to be had on your Instagram as well, particularly about spear guns and thinking about it, and just and everyone can do with upgrading their skills and mindsets around it. Like I said, it's good to have your bias sort of shaped by experience, but failing that, having your bias shaped by people that have been doing what you've been doing for years and years is a great shortcut as well. So thanks for coming on the show, man. It's been awesome.
Man, it was great. I really appreciate it, and thanks for having me, man. Hopefully we can dive together one day, man. If I can get down to Australia, that'd be rad.
Oh man, I want to get over there too. Like, Florida's been on my list for ages. Texas, all those parts of the world, and then I want to do the West Coast too at some stage. The US has been on my hit list since before COVID, so we'll get there one day, man. Yeah,
if you haven't, man. The summer bluefin out of California, or honestly getting down to Mexico, man. Mexico's so rad. It's honestly like one of the last, I wouldn't call it last frontier spearfishing, but there's so much good fishing to be had down there, and there's just so much ocean to check out. So yeah, if you can, get down there too.
Awesome. Will do. All right, over and out, Paul. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
Paul Rodriguez, what a man, what a man. What a mighty good man. He's just a good dude. I had an absolute blast chatting with Paul. Check out Hot Rod Spearguns. Could not encourage you to do so enough. I love geeking out with niche innovators from around the spearfishing world. Paul Rodriguez is a man exactly like that. In 2 weeks, we're doing something a little different. We're talking to the man behind Rocket Kit. It's a huge YouTube channel. Focused a little bit about spearfishing. He's more of a one-man band, but he does like kayak fishing, beach fishing, solo island trips, but he loves his spearing as well, and a self-professed noob, but he's got 420,000 subscribers on YouTube, so he's doing something right. Very entertaining guy, very down to earth, and he only lives an hour away from me. Really cool guy. He's flown a little bit under the radar in the spearing world. Massive YouTube channel, and we talk about how to grow a YouTube channel. Heaps of tips, tricks and hacks, and we talk about the tools and the algorithmic skullduggery of YouTube, and get down and dirty with that. So Rodney from Rocket Kit, that's in 2 weeks. Come back, subscribe to the Spearo podcast. If you haven't already, go to patreon.com/Spearo. Consider joining the other legends powering the podcast on a week-to-week basis. All right, guys, join me again in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening. Shrek out. Today's episode was an absolute banger, and so is our major sponsor, Adreno. Visit them at adreno.com.au. They have a huge range of equipment. You can find it at adreno.com.au. Use the code NoobSpearo at checkout. When you shop online, you can save $20 on every purchase over $200. You can even use that code in store at some of their huge mega stores Australia-wide. Price beat guarantee on any Australian spearfishing equipment price. Again, visit them at adreno.com.au. Use the code NoobSpearo. Neptonics.com source the very best in spearing gear from around the planet. Jerry says, if we sell it, we believe in it, we trust it, and dive it. Neptonics is the one-stop shop for all your spearfishing essentials. Neptonics is solid gear that works, and you'll know it's true when you pull the trigger on a Neptonics mech, on every snap of a Neptonics power band, and in every whiz of a Neptonics speargun reel, singing with the power of another big fish. Buy gear you can depend on at neptonics.com. Use the code NOOB10 to save 10%.